Hello everyone, ito si Dr. Esperanza at ngayon ay magtuturo naman ako sa inyo kung paano gamitin ang empirical rule or the 68 divided 99.7 rule sa isang normal curve. And at the end of this lecture, matututunan nyo kung paano mag-approximate ng mga area under the normal curve using this rule. At kung bago kayo sa channel ko, please hit the subscribe button at mag-aral na kayo kasi today, makakasama nyo yung mga estudyante ko dito sa Barstow Community College para mag-aral ng statistics. Now, we're going to change the question into the percentages of students based on their height. For example, this one. Find the percentage of students whose height is between 68.5 inches and 63.5 inches. And how are we going to convert this in our normal curve? We're going to complete this standard deviation into this inches based on 66 as our middle and 2.5 is our standard deviation. So we're going to complete our normal curve. So let's complete it. So what is this 0 right here? This is going to change into?
66.
66. If we're going to go one standard deviation away from the mean, what is this value? 68 and a half. And what about this?
71.
71. And what about this?
73 and a half.
How did you get that?
2 and a half.
By adding 2 and a half continuously to the right.
Right.
Let's complete the normal curve below the mean. What is
63 and a half.
63 and a half? What about this?
61.
61. And this?
58.
58.5 inches. So now we have a complete set of our standard deviation and its corresponding height in our normal curve. Now let's answer this problem. What is the percentage of the student whose height is between 68.5 inches and 66 inches? Let's mark that 68 inches.
68.
Where's that 68 inches?
From 63 and a half to 68 and a half.
68.5 to 66.
Oh, to 60.
Up until?
Right there. Oh, 66.
Alright, so here.
34.
Percentage. If we're talking about percentage, that means we're talking about
34.
this, right? This much. And do you know how much that percentage is in our normal curve?
Yes.
34.
Why is it 34%?
Because it's half of the other
It's half
of
of
the
68.
68.
Because it's half of the 68%. Because in statistics, we have the empirical rule, and the empirical rule states that if you're one standard deviation within the mean, you have 68% of your distribution in the normal curve. And we use that using the modified version of our normal curve so that we can see it better. And this is this much right here, right? So this is 34%. So, to answer the question, 34% of the students in Barstow Community College is between 66 inches and 68.5 inches tall. So, let's try another one. Find the percentage of students whose height is between 68.5 and 63.5.
68%.
Hmm?
What's 68%?
68%? How did you get 68%?
Because it's the middle.
Because it's the middle. And what do we know about the middle?
The whole thing is 68%.
The whole thing is 68%. So this much right here is 68% because it's in the cheat sheet that we had. And that cheat sheet came from a scientific way on how to come up with theorem that most statisticians or mathematicians came up with. So this is not just a random number that we set. We did not use a ruler to measure the 68%. It is a statistical theorem. Got it? And if we're going to be using the modified version of our normal curve, 34% plus 34% is... Okay, answer this. Find the percentage of students whose height is between 66 inches and 71 inches. What is the percentage of Barstow Community College students whose height is 66 inches and 71 inches? Oh, this much right here. So that means I'm seeing two partitions. 1, 2. Now, tell me. Area under the curve in our first partition.
34.
34.
What about the second one?
47.5.
It's 13.5.
13.5.
13.5%. All we need to do is to
Add.
Add it.
And
add them up, and now we have the percentage. And how much is that?
47.5.
There. 47.5. And if we're going to write our answer in sentence form, about 40-something% of students,
Whose height is between 66 and 70.
yes.
You know what I did?
What did you do?
I grabbed the 95%.
You grabbed the 95%,
divided by 2 and then give me the result of 46.
and it's, yes, of course, because that is also a right or correct mathematical way on how to approach things. We have several ways on how we can approach these math problems. You can use the empirical rule right away and cut it in half because it looks like it. Or you can just use the partition and it's still going to give you the correct answers, right? So it's up to you. I'm giving you options on how you can answer this easily, whichever helps you answer it correctly better. And that's how I answer this problem. Method 1, adding the two partitions based on
Percentage.
the empirical rule. Method 2, Elizabeth's method. She knows that this much is 2 standard deviation away from the mean. And 2 standard deviation away from the mean is 95%. So what she did was she took half of it and she got the same answer. So you can use both, whichever you prefer.
Oh, okay.
Let's have more example. Find the percentage of students whose height is above 68.5 inches. Oh, this is 68.5 inches, right? What is above? To the left or to the right of the curve?
right.
Uh-huh. So that means I'm looking for the percentage of that. Can you please compute for that? Let's see how you're going to approach your answer so you can find this much percent. And if you think you need more videos on how to compute for the normal curve, just hit this button over here and I'll give you more videos on how to compute for the area under the normal curve. Alright, did you compute for it?
Yes.
Okay. What is your answer here?
I got 16.
16%? Is there any other answer?
15.75.
15.75%?
75.
Okay. So let's see which one is correct. How did you get 16%?
I added 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15.
So you added 13.5, 2.35, and 0.15. And that is another way on how to compute for this. And you got 16%? 16%? Yes. And I think that is the correct answer that we're looking for. Now, what is my method 2? Okay. This much is what? This much percent is what?
15.
50%.
Yeah.
That much is 50%. And since I know this is 50%, what is this much right here?
34.
34%. So what I can do is subtract 34 and 50% and I'll get this piece of my normal curve, right?
Yeah. Duh.
And again, this particular statistics lesson will help you understand statistics better and will help you practice how to think critically. Because there are a lot of methods on how you can answer this problem. You can use method 1 or you can use method 2. I use method 2 because it's easier for me. And the reason why it's 16% is because I know that this much is 50% of my normal curve. Okay? I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But Taylor's method of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, adding them up is also correct. Whichever you prefer. Is it making more sense now compared yesterday? Okay. Answer this one. Find the percentage of students whose height is below 68.5 inches. So sometimes method 1 works easier. Sometimes method 2 works easier. So it all depends on the type of problem you're working on. So in this case, now you're seeing what I'm seeing a while ago. So because I want you to see those different ways on how this question is going to be asked in a statistics problem.
Just make sure all the test questions are like this.
Right. Please make a.
Well, all our questions is as easy as this. The only challenge is, again, all the problems I'm giving out in the test are the problems I'm giving in the class. The challenge is,
It was at this moment that he knew.
remembering them. And what did I tell you about learning mathematics? You're not just going to learn it in an hour being in my math classroom. And that is why your score is not reflecting on your idea of a score that you're supposed to be getting. Because you're not practicing. How did I get the 50 and the 34? Because I know that this much is what?
50.
50%. And I also know that this much is what?
34.
And you add them up. Right.
I finally got one part right.
Let's have another one. So about 84% of the students in BCC is below 68.5. What about this one?
It's a hard one.
Find the percentage of students whose height is below 63.5 inches. This is 63.5, right?
Yeah.
So find those short people. And how much short people do we have in Barstow Community College that is under 63.5 inches? So about 5'3".
It's 16%.
Yeah.
Hmm?
16.
And how did you get that quick? That answer really quick?
The same way over there.
Add up
Just
on the other
reverse it.
side.
Is that on the other side?
Exactly, because that's basically why those empirical rule works, because the 68, 95, and the 99.7 rule, it will only give you a certain number of questions. When you are asked questions on the empirical rule, they will not ask you questions like this. What is the percentage of students that is below 60 inches? Can you compute for this problem using the method that we're using?
No,
Why not?
because it's not equal to the standard deviation.
Because it's not equal to the usual standard deviation partitions that we have in the empirical rule, right? But does that mean that we cannot compute for this anymore?
No.
So, and that is the second level of our lesson. Because this one, we are limited to only answering
To
questions
the standard deviation.
that's using these numbers. What if we want or we are interested to figure out the numbers or the height in between?
But what if we're not?
But what if we do? But what if I ask you that problem on a test?
Uh-oh.
Well, then we got it wrong because we haven't learned it yet.
And that's when the second level of the normal curve is going
So take it
to be worked on. And this right here,
Would that be, that's the Z-score thing you're talking about?
yes, this is the z-score thing that I'm talking about. So we're going to be using the z-score when the height or the information given is no longer covered in the 1, 2, 3 standard deviation codes that we have in the empirical rule. Case,
So
yes.
what about if we get another problem that says 71, for example? So that means we have to find a...
Yes, you have to adjust
so
your...
one always is going to be in the middle.
Yes.
Okay.
So in a normal curve problem, the mean and the standard deviation should always be given. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to solve a problem on a normal curve. And to be able to do that, you need to be able to know how to partition it. So wherever values of mean you are given, you already know how to partition it using the standard deviation, right? It's just plus or minus. And that's what you're going to be working on. Okay. So this one, find the percentage of students whose height is between 63... Okay, this one right here. Let's see if you can answer this time. What method are you going to use to answer number 7?
You subtract
So how much is that? 81.5. How did you get 81.5?
I added 68 and 13.
You added 6.
I added the middle.
You added the middle, which is this middle.
Yeah. and
How much
then
is that middle?
68.
How did you know it's 68?
Because 34, 34.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you know that this is 68%, right?
Mhm.
And then, how about this? How am I going to add this piece right here?
I added 13.5.
You added 13.5?
Uh-huh.
Why did you add 13.5? Where did you get that?
This is a partition
Pick up
From the partition,
Yeah.
from your
From the
normal
normal.
curve, right? Yes. So it's a combination of both. You did method 1 and method 2, and this is method 1, the original, and then a little bit more from the modified version. So this is another way on how you will answer problems like this. So now it's making sense now, right? Because in mathematics, the more problems you do, the easier it gets. Because if you're only working on 1, 2 examples, and then you're just gonna go home and watch Netflix and do nothing, that's not gonna be enough. You need to practice on more problems. And see, we did 7 problems already.
So what if
And
it's a Netflix about mathematicians?
I don't know, Dion. Watch The Beautiful Mind and let's see if you can answer problem on the normal curve. At again, ito na naman po ang inyong Dr. E at maraming salamat sa sama sa akin kasama ng mga estudyante ko sa aaral ng normal curve. At kung nagustuhan nyo yung aking math lecture today, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel at share nyo na rin yung mga math videos ko sa mga klase nyo, sa mga kaibigan nyo, sa mga pinsan at mga pamangkin nyo para mas marami akong matulungang estudyante na katulad nyo. Bye! One question is as easy as this. The only challenge is again, all of the problems I'm giving out